Hey everyone, Shades here, and welcome to my first ever commentary. So, my first commentary is going to be on CommentJack. Yeah, I know it's probably a bad thing for my first one to be on such an easy target, but this video, I just couldn't leave it alone.
Funny, that's exactly what I thought when I watched your video.
Today I'm going to commentate on Jack's latest video on Benthelooney's rant on Wabbit. And before anyone calls me one, no, I am not a Benthelooney fanboy, unlike someone else we know. Even though I am subscribed to Ben, he's not even close to being one of my favorite reviewers.
Your opinion on Ben is irrelevant to the video. Even if you were a huge Ben fanboy, if you had legitimate and well-articulated arguments to CommentJack's points, then your stance on his quality is inconsequential. And despite purportedly not being a fanboy, guess what this video still doesn't have?
Okay, we can say there's somewhat entertaining, especially the new ones. I mean, especially when compared to this pile of garbage.
Also, I should mention this now. Rather than using Kamen Rider Wing Knight, I'm using Spider-Man as my avatar. Why? Because I can.
The gods have smiled upon me this day.
That is my gift, and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Here's some backstory.
Between 1929 and 1969, there was this very popular animated series called the Looney Tunes. In mid-2015, Cartoon Network made a reboot of this animated series, calling it Wabbit, a Looney Tunes production. In November, Benthelooney came back from the dead after a 1-year, 5-month hiatus. Then he made a video where he basically bashes the show for extremely idiotic reasons.
Wait. You're doing a commentary on one of the first of Ben's new videos? You do realize that video came out in late November, right? A little late to the party there, Jack.
CommentJack's stated that the video came out in November. Are you even listening? Oh, and for the record, Ben's rant on Wabbit was released on November 20th of 2015. CommentJack's commentary on him came out on January 13th of 2016. Literally not even 2 months had passed by then, so what the hell are you bitching about?
The reason I'm saying that is because since this video in particular, Ben has made some changes and has gotten a lot better with his new style. Granted, that's not really saying much, but still.
Changes or no, it was the arguments and complaints presented in this video that CommentJack took issue with. Honey, I know you're new, but you do realize that when a person makes note of a negative trait in a video, that trait doesn't have to be concomitant with all other videos in their repertoire, right?
That is my gift, and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Welcome back to Ben Rants, and I'm not allowed in the state of Missouri.
Wow. Fucking wow. I will not talk about how awful is his avatar, since that is not only obvious but irrelevant as well.
That's his old new avatar. If you had been paying attention, you'd notice he's changed it from this to this. Isn't he just cute?
Hey, sure, let's just ignore the fact that CommentJack's video was released on January 13th and Ben's avatar change didn't come about until January 22nd. It's not like someone with the proper resources could just look up when the video came out and bitch slap that argument into a feckin' wall. Also, maybe draw their avatar bitch slapping yours into a fucking wall. I mean, who could do that?
So let's talk about the other interesting thing I should bring up. His mic quality. I know that my earlier videos had terrible mic quality. This is gonna hurt a lot when we end the review. But that was in my early commentaries back when my channel was only a month old. Ben has been doing this shit since 2009, around 7 years ago. Not to mention that he has backup from Frederator. There is no excuse for this.
I always thought that was part of Ben's gimmick. You know, he doesn't have a good mic because he's loony. Forget it.
What, because that point made no sense and is purely speculation on your part?
Also, it should be known that 5 days before this commentary existed, Ben released a review of Hammerman. And what is that I hear?
And I'm in desperate need of therapy.
A new good quality microphone!
Please don't tell me that you equate good quality to ear-splitting ringing noise that exists through the duration of the video.
That is my gift, and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Oh, just wonderful. I take a year-long break, I come back to entertain my fans.
To piss them off? How would he piss off his fans by returning?
By saying controversial or factually incorrect things about shows that they like. You do realize who we're talking about here, right?
Joe? Yeah, because the last one worked so well.
Okay, this is to future reviewers, commentators, voice actors, etc. Aside of an extremely monotone voice, the last thing you want when it comes to sarcasm is drawing out the inflections. Especially when your mic quality is this fucking abysmal.
I won't argue with that, but you make it sound like he dragged it on for 5 seconds, when in fact it was a little over 2 seconds.
I won't argue with that. Here's my argument towards your complaint. Brilliant.
The best way to inflect sarcasm is to be quick. Like this. Because yeah, he wants everything to be censored. Everything!
Yeah, using yourself was the best example.
And what exactly was wrong with his portrayal of a sarcastic tone? You just gonna not say anything? Oh, okay. I'm sure that's how commentaries work.
Not pony.mob?
Wait, what?
I'm just curious. I do not remember any of this shit on the Looney Tunes show.
When did he say he was comparing it to the Looney Tunes show? All he was saying was he thinks the last show was so bad he's assuming the worst for this one.
That's a direct comparison. He's comparing his previous expectations of a Looney Tunes production to his current expectations of Wabbit. Assumptions can be based off of comparisons. Furthermore, Ben makes comparisons to the previous Looney Tunes show throughout the entire video.
It was a joke, honey. It was a joke.
Even if it's a joke, if CommentJack doesn't think that it works because the comparison is too exaggerated, then you need to explain why he's wrong, not simply give it a pass because it's a joke.
Alright, Warner Brothers. Come in, truck me again. Bring it on. Wow. I can't believe it.
Neither do I. This will be a long fucking review.
Okay. What was the point of that? You pointlessly cut Ben off to pointlessly make a pointless statement that means nothing overall. Did I mention that was pointless? And seriously, why are you complaining the video's only 10 minutes long?
Setting up expectations of the video for your audience? Blasphemy!
They made a Looney Tunes reboot that actually feels like the original Looney Tunes. I'm not kidding.
Wow,
This show was broken up
Benthelooney
into
is
short
actually
5-minute
showing
cartoons
footage of what
that had
he's
the
talking
same
about.
plot of books.
Yeah, he uses footage now. Old news.
This was still a new revelation when CommentJack made the video, and is even more jarring to those who don't regularly watch Ben's reviews and primarily remember him for not using footage. Look at a fucking calendar for once in your life.
That is my gift and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
While so far I've said good things about this show, there is still one teensy-weensy, itty-bitty thing they got wrong. Everything else!
Yeah, tell me all the reasons why you hate this show. Is it the gross out aspect? Is it because of them sticking to the formula? Is it because Bugs is not really that pleasant of a character in this incarnation? Each and single one of them is a very reasonable point.
And the points he brings up here aren't?
Hey, it's not nice to cut someone off before they finish their setup. That's a bad Shades comments. Bad! Go to your box! Oh, and looky here. Not only do you not let Jack finish the setup, you directly skip over the point he was leading to, which was his confused intrigue as to what exactly Ben was referring to with his complaints.
Any of those...
Don't you just hate when the audio cuts out? Hey, knock that off! Sorry.
You fucking noticed the audio cutout, but somehow managed to miss that this was done purposely, so that CommentJack could be stunned with intrigue over Ben's claims. Alright, that's it. Come with me, little Shady. You're going to the timeout corner.
It's my gift and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Funny thing about this skip card, too, the amount of time between the end of CommentJack's setup and where the skip card leads to is 20 seconds. Despite Shades making note that Jack says nothing, there wasn't any instance for him to interject. Ben hadn't finished his point. In fact, Ben's still talking about the same point when the skip card ends.
The only other Looney Tunes character I've seen in this show is Yosemite Sam, whose new design is ugly as hell.
I find this hypocrisy!
Ah!
I find this hypocrisy! I find it!
Oh, hi, random Rion clip. Seriously, why did you use that? The worst part is you didn't even expound on it like you just thought using that clip makes your entire argument.
Okay, you're surprised that the clip legitimately made me laugh, but if you can't figure out that Jack's calling Ben a hypocrite because his avatar is just as ugly as he's claiming Yosemite Sam is, then...
You could have at least said, seriously, look in the mirror, you hypocrite, or something like that.
You fucking know what the purpose of the clip was. Why are you asking things if you know the answer? If you figured out what his joke was, then he didn't need to expand on it. Doing so would simply drag out the video. Spider-Man, I swear to God, I'm gonna bitch slap you clear across this commentary.
That is my gift, and that is my curse.
Oh my God! You did it again! The amount of time the skip card goes over is 24 seconds. Ben hadn't finished making enough of a point for Jack to interject. Hell, you cut back into the video in the middle of Ben's point!
But this is bullspit! I'm a diehard Looney Tunes fan, and Bugs Bunny isn't even my favorite character!
So basically, this show needs to present at least 10 or 15 original Looney Tunes characters on the first season, or else it's not a good show.
I see how it is. Only Ryan's allowed to mockingly mimic the person they're commentating on to summarize their arguments as a means of displaying how flawed they are. Okay, fine. I guess I'll just be sitting in the corner over here, alone.
But in all seriousness, either wait until season 3 is out, learn to deal with it, or just go truck yourself with a chainsaw.
First off, why does he need to wait until season 3? That's a long time to wait for something he's probably already convinced himself he doesn't like to improve. And plus, why do we need to wait 3 seasons for it to improve when it could have been great, or at the very least good, with the first season? Like these shows, for example.
The videos that I want to portray as having a good first season in my own subjective opinion are relevant to this video that, up until my mentioning them, had nothing to do with them because I say so. Get on my level, you scrub!
Second off, wow. Mature. He doesn't like a show you do, and then it's just...
Truck yourself with a chainsaw.
And you seem to be missing the point Ben was trying to make. He's saying that Bugs isn't the only character that Warner Bros. Has at their disposal, but because they think people only like Bugs, so that's all they're going to focus on here.
Actually, that's not what Ben said. Like, at all. Give it a moment.
Ben even expounds on that point in the next part you show.
What makes the Looney Tunes cartoon so great is that there are a dozen starring characters that several people can get behind. Each character is so strong that they can stand on their own. It's a wide variety, and it's most likely when viewing a marathon of Looney Tunes, you're not going to see the same character over and over again. You're going to get a nice batch of stars. And that doesn't even count all the one-shot cartoons that don't even feature any of the starring characters.
Want to know what's super dumb about implementing established skip cards into your commentary? It makes when you deliberately cut out parts of the original video more jarring because it feels like you're hiding something. Take, for example, this clip of Ben blatantly acknowledging that Bugs is the most popular Looney Tunes character that Warner Bros. Has at their disposal.
I know Bugs Bunny is the most popular Looney Tunes character, and it's good to see him back to his screwball roots, but he's a character that you can easily make boring if you continue to constantly shove him in people's faces.
This clip, which, I should note, was not only in CommentJack's original video, but also gives a reason for Bugs to be the center focus of the show despite Ben complaining about it. Because Bugs is their most popular Looney Tunes asset. If they're going to create a show with one character acting as the sun for which all the little story planets can revolve around, it would obviously be Bugs. Ben gave an answer to his complaint about the show as he was talking about it, and while Jack didn't make note of it, you somehow still managed to make yourself look like an idiot by cutting out part of that video that CommentJack didn't even comment on. How do you do that?
And yeah, no signs of my favorite character, Daffy.
Yeah, wait, what?
Well, of course. They had to not include Daffy to make room for the characters
PMS
that are more
detected.
What? What'd he say?
popular than him. Squeaks the Squirrel and Bigfoot. What? Warner Brothers, I hope you're wearing protection, because I like to make sure that my partner is safe before I get trucked!
Hey, this isn't some game with limited time and budget. This is a high-budget TV animated show. There's plenty of time for whatever character they want to bring up.
But see, here's the thing. If they do have this high budget that you just boasted about, why don't they use those other characters now?
Because they have plans to slowly incorporate them into the show as the episodes go on. Also, because it would make the current stories too crowded, and, as Ben stated earlier, they're trying to implement new Looney Tunes characters into the roster, and are thus giving those characters as much focus as possible early on. Do you even know how storytelling works?
Which, by the way, Ben brings that up later.
He also brought that up earlier in the video, and I'm not entirely sure how you missed that.
That is my gift, and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
But all I can say is, But all I can say is...
Wait, did you not just hear him correct himself and say the same line again?
But all I can say is...
Why didn't you point that out? Not even with text? No. Then why the hell did you show all of that whole thing?
Poor quality in a Benthelooney rant? Woe and behold, the earth must be standing still! And gee, it's not like, once again, Ben isn't finished talking. Flub or no, it doesn't make sense for Jack to skip over sections of his argument if Ben's argument is meant to be heard.
Oh, Avery, forgive me for what I'm about to say.
I don't forgive you.
Is that the only reason you showed all of that? To make another lame Rion cutaway gag?
It was a joke, Spidey. It was a joke.
Truck that! I didn't even watch Looney Tunes since I was born to think that Bugs Bunny is the only Looney Tunes character. You're not going to fool me, Warner Brothers.
Jeez, man, you're acting like this show cannot spend 3 seconds without focusing on Bugs Bunny.
Care to expound on how it doesn't spend any less than 3 seconds on Bugs?
What? No! Motherfucking no! He wasn't claiming that the show did or did not spend less than 3 seconds focusing on Bugs, so why would he have to explain how it does either? He was stating that Ben was ranting about it as though the show wasn't allowed to spend more than 3 seconds focusing on Bugs. Motherfucking Spider piece of shit!
I haven't watched this show yet, and I really don't care to.
Motherfucking Spider
Last
piece
show
of
left me
shit.
with too many bad dreams. Ugh. So for those of us who haven't seen it yet, you should probably explain this stuff, especially if you're defending the show.
Also, I don't give a shit that he's not your favorite character, because you are not the only person on the Looney Tunes demographic. Think of that for a second.
Well, yeah, but what about the other people who have a Looney Tunes character that they prefer over Bugs? Judging from that DeviantArt image you showed earlier, you seem to be a huge Bugs Bunny fan, and that's fine. But in your blind fanboy rage, you forget that there are other people out there that are also either getting tired of Bugs or prefer a different Looney Tunes character. I myself prefer either Daffy, Foghorn Leghorn, or Sylvester and Tweety over Bugs, but that's just me.
Great. And the show is obviously catering to the audience that has made Bugs the most popular Looney Tunes character, according to Ben. Like, what do I even have to say at this point? You can go on and on about what other characters you prefer, but in the end, the show's obviously marketed to people who like Bugs.
That is my gift, and that is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man.
Well, at least they're not going to take Taz, rename him Theodore Tasmanian, and make him an accountant. Nope. At least they're not going to do that.
Why is that a bad thing? I'm just asking. Why the hell is that a bad thing?
Are you serious? Because that's not Taz's nature. It doesn't fit with the character. It'd be like rebooting The Legend of Korra and have Korra be a swimsuit model. It doesn't fit!
The fact that I need to explain the comedy behind character comparison and contrast is just... it makes me want to cry. Here's a character that normally does one thing. Ha ha ha, it's funny, until we get bored of it. Plop that character in a situation that directly contrasts what we know them as, or gives them a drastically different personality. Ha ha ha, comedy restored because of jarring, unexpected contrast. That's it, I'm done. God dang good night.
This show is not even close to being a spiritual successor to the original shorts. You were so close, Warner Brothers.
But you just said that they're not even close.
Please don't cut the crazy man off.
You are not one to talk.
You were so close, Warner Brothers, but you still can't seem to get it right.
Granted, he could have expounded on that, maybe by saying it was close to being a good show or something like that, but still, cutting him off just to make yourself look good, well, it makes you look bad.
Pointing it out doesn't make it better, you bibrachial troglodyte!
Why don't you stop trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice? The original Looney Tunes are animation perfection.
No, they're flawed. Like every single cartoon in the fucking world.
Why are you getting so worked over this? Could you at the very least explain why the original shorts are flawed like every other blah 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 blah? Maybe by saying how they used to use racist characters in jokes, death as a joke, or jokes that were really inappropriate for kids? No? Okay then.
He doesn't have to analyze the show and point out exactly what's wrong with it to make note that it's not perfect in the sense that nothing is perfect. Furthermore, the gripes he might have that, in his eyes, prevent the show from reaching perfection might not resonate with other people. And I'm so glad you unnecessarily brought up the inappropriate humor as a point of note on your behalf, because guess who thinks that sort of humor is great in kids' shows? Fucking me!
No one can recreate that. I don't care who they are.
What? What? Why are we...
Dumbass.
Well, I see someone's been taking notes from Slothboy's book, How to Be a Complete Jackass on the Internet. Ooh, he signed it too.
Is every new commentator we get gonna be a complete fuckwad?
Even ignoring that they can. Ignoring the fact that they can and did.
Ignoring the fact that Back in Action was a box office bomb and
People don't make...
Glad you cut yourself off there, because it let me assume that you realized that point wasn't relevant to what Jack was arguing.
People don't make reboots to compare themselves to the classics. They do it because they want to bring classic characters back to life.
No, they do it for money. That's all these big corporations care about. Your money. That's why people like Ben rant on things like this. They don't want to hand people their money if they aren't getting what they want to see. That's how the entertainment business works.
See, I probably could have given that one to you if it weren't for one teensy-weensy, itsy-bitsy, teeny-tiny problem. The show has to be pitched. When a company or corporation owns the rights to a character, they get the final say in what ends up making it to the big screen. And yes, when it comes to the corporation, they choose whatever idea they think will garner them the most money. But you're forgetting that the idea has to be pitched in the first place, and these ideas are typically pitched by people who either have storylines they want to expose the characters to, or it's a project that they want to work on, be it animating, producing, directing, etc. Despite the company making money from the product in the end, this show was likely some sort of labor of love for maybe even just one person for it to exist in the first place. That's how stories start, and that's how stories continue.
You can like the show, Jack. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, and neither is Ben. Ben is only expressing his opinion, and all you can do is say, how dare people agree with him and his valid arguments? How dare he make an entertaining video? How dare he dislike a show I like? What a dumbass!
How dare you express your opinion on something that someone else made, despite me literally just saying that you have every right to do so? What a dumbass!
Final thoughts. Ben, Eddie the Scammer, learn from his mistakes. Mr. Enter, learn from his mistakes. Sammy the fucking classic Sonic fan, learn from his mistakes. But you, all you learned after 1.5 years was how to edit video footage.
Could you please explain how Ben hasn't learned anything more than editing footage?
Stop interrupting!
You basically say that this show is crap, just because you want it to be something that is not made out to be. Wabbit may not be as good as the original shorts, but it's still a very good show.
Which you never made any arguments for. In fact, throughout this video, you pretty much said more negative things about the show than positive. In fact, I never even once heard you say it's a good show. Ever.
He's arguing Ben's opinion of the show, not defending his own opinion of the show. They are two completely different things. Now get your foot out of your mouth so I can shove it straight up your...
But the fact that Benthelooney still won't realize why people have been criticizing him for the last 7 years is unacceptable. Say what you want about Mr. Enter. At least when he fails, we can see that he's trying.
What? And Ben isn't?
We can see some reason and some logic behind his arguments. And at least he has a decent avatar and a decent mic quality.
Again, you're just being a blind fanboy for Mr. Enter.
Oh, thank God! Finally! A good argument!
Saying how he's better, even though his videos nowadays wish they were half as entertaining as they used to be. Also, Enter having a better avatar? Now? Probably. Especially compared to this one. Back then? Ha!
Son of... I bet you don't even realize that your own subjective opinions not only fail to prove CommentJack's own opinions wrong, but they're also completely useless here. And guess what? Say it with me, people. Oh my god, I don't care.
In other words, you fail.
Oh yeah, thanks for that last-minute ear rape. Do you really need to punish your audience's ears as well as our brains?
Yeah, this point is exaggerated to the point of ridiculousness. I'm going back to my corner.
And that, thankfully, is the end.
Oh, thank the crawling chaos.
Jack, I honestly think you need to take a break from commentaries. I'm not asking you to leave because there are only a few people I'd ever say that to, and you're not one of them. But you need to stop letting your love for things make you so blind that you can't listen to what other people say.
I'm pissed, I'm frustrated, and I'm insulted.
Wow, you're pissed and frustrated? Well, good sir, that just makes me interested and intrigued.
I never wanted to do a commentary on Comment Jack. I'll be straight up right now. I always thought everyone did a better job at explaining why he's such a sack of shit when it comes to commentaries.
My goodness, I understand Comment Jack really isn't the highest quality of a commentator, but boy is the salt real.
However, just like Mr. Enter, Comment Jack did that one thing that drove me over the edge and forced me to debunk his sorry little ass.
Okay, I know this is a bit of a thing you can't control that well, but I don't know, hearing such an edgy Shadow the Hedgehog level speech come from that voice of yours, I don't know, I really can't take that seriously. Point is, don't do edgy anger like this again, it comes off really painful to watch.
And we're about to do that right now. It's go time.
You know, given the whole video, I don't think this intro music's that fitting. Let me fix it. Too easy. Nah. Perfect!
That's it. I'm done.
Oh my god.
Wow, that joke bombed so hard. I'm pretty sure it ended World War II. Yeah, you're going to need to have something called a unique internet personality in order to pull that off, Comment Jack.
Unique internet... What? What? What is that even supposed to mean? Unique internet personality? So you mean a personality that is one of a kind and like no other? You think you could have used a better word for that, YouTube dude? Just a skosh? Like, you could have just said that Comment Jack's acting needed more emotion. I mean, that would ignore the fact you're honestly exaggerating the quality of his joke, but still, it'd at least sound better than freaking unique internet personality.
Hey guys, this is Tingled and welcome to Comment Jack. God, I just said Comment Jack and I already hate myself.
Wait, what did he say?
God, I just said Comment Jack and I already hate myself.
Something about saying Comment Jack and hating himself? Alright then.
If you couldn't understand what he was saying, you need to have your ears checked. He clearly said, I just said Comment Jack and I already hate myself. You quite literally added nothing to anything outside of a nitpick at best.
Whatever. Since I'm such a
lazy piece of cunt.
What did he say? Lazy piece of cunt? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to turn down that pitch, hun.
YouTube dude, do me a favor and never say hun again, especially towards Comment Jack. I want to keep my brain intact.
Here's some backstory.
Wow, love how you have to point out your own jokes there, mate. Pretty pathetic.
Okay, I get it being a little underwhelming for the joke, but pathetic? Oh wait. Of course, this interjection of you completely missing the point of his statement, I mean this huge glaring flaw in his joke, is clearly pathetic. BRB getting pizza.
Oh, so you call us lazy pieces of cunts when it comes to detail and history. Ha ha, not funny.
For the record, I didn't cut anything for the last interjection I made. This plays literally right after his last point. I mean, let's ignore the fact these two statements don't flow into each other in any way, nor do they relate to each other. I mean, this is clearly how you do commentaries correctly, right? Also, in response to you saying his joke wasn't funny without explanation, I'm just gonna rewind a bit to episode 23.
I feel like I should make it a running thing that every time someone just says a joke isn't funny without explaining why, I'll just play my clip from my 9th commentary.
Rarity is best Xenoblade.
You know, if there was one cliche in the commentary community that I would want to die as fast as possible, it would be cutting into the video just to say that someone's joke isn't funny. Because, one, humor is subjective, what you don't find funny someone else could, and or two, they barely ever explain why the joke is not funny.
Wait a second, did I just pull a flashback in a flashback?
And then Snap Attack Crew gave me the power-up commentaries he never did, so I can commentate on it.
Well, Snap Attack must have been a pretty shitty commentary if this is what he uses his power for.
Whoa, hilarious wreck meme, you sure showed him funny, man.
Oh, And if you say he's a dead horse...
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Benthelooney is a dead horse, you idiot!
Okay, I know this is one of the few points you took back sometime later, but I'm just saying this for future reference. I am sick and tired of people outlawing what person you can and cannot talk about. I mean, unless the video is like a century old or the person doesn't make videos anymore, but the topic really shouldn't matter as long as the video is good. You hate the commentary for being a bad commentary, not what it's about.
Welcome back to Ben Rants, and I'm not allowed in the state of Missouri.
Wow. Fucking wow. I will not talk about how awful is his avatar, since that is not only obvious but irrelevant as well.
Oh, he has a terrible avatar? You're using fucking Applejack. You're not one to talk.
Yes, because an ad hominem that doesn't even work as hypocrisy, given that Ben drew his avatar and CommentJack didn't, totally debunks his point, am I right? Why do you hate me?
A new Looney Tunes show? Yeah, because the last one worked so well.
Okay, this is to future reviewers, commentators, voice actors, etc. Aside of an extremely monotone voice, the last thing you want when it comes to sarcasm is drawing out the inflections. Especially when your mic quality is this fucking abysmal. The best way to inflect sarcasm is to be quick, like this. Because yeah, he wants everything to be censored. Everything! But drawing out your sarcasm like what Ben did here will give your audience audio whiplash.
Benthelooney's sarcasm lasted only 2 seconds. Meanwhile, your sarcasm used in your example lasted 2 seconds.
Oh, just wonderful. I take a year-long break, I come back to entertain my
Classic
fans. Yeah, because the last one worked so well.
And that's not even including the fact that you repeated it twice. Stop exaggerating for points, CommentJack.
YouTube dude, you have no idea how much that's gonna hit you over the head later.
And finally, you have no right to talk to future reviewers, commentators, etc., considering how awful your commentaries are and how awful this point you made was.
Nightmare goggles. Yet everything looks the same.
Great. What is this show going to be about? Are Bugs and Daffy going to be stoners working at a gas station?
Hey, aren't we supposed to compare this to the Looney Tunes show, not Pony.mob? I'm just curious. I do not remember any of this shit on the Looney Tunes show.
That was a fucking joke, you fucking scrub!
Wow, I didn't know I was watching episode 16 up in here, am I right, guys? I give him about 5 minutes before he knocks over the monitor.
You do realize you could have made that a lot more funny, right? Here, watch.
Oh, look. Not only is CommentJack a Mr. Enter kiss-up, but he's also a half-boiled hero kiss-up.
You know, being honest here, if there's one thing that's really starting to annoy me to no end, it's commentators calling other commentators kiss-ups a bop. If anything, it's starting to become a useless, obnoxious title to give towards people that show any sign of reference to bop members in any way. And, funny enough, most of the people that I see use this term are just as big of kiss-ups themselves. Like, sure, it's not completely outlawed as a phrase. If someone is trying too hard to be another commentator or just straight up stealing stuff from bop members, sure, whatever. But all CommentJack did was make one freaking clip, plus one clip later, from a bop member's video. I think we can go one day without putting someone into a box. On top of that, while I myself am not a big fan of Mr. Enter, we get it. You don't like Mr. Enter. You really don't need to remind us every 2 seconds. Like, the amount of times you bring it up in this video, along with your other videos, I wouldn't be surprised if your year-end nickname is that one guy who doesn't like Mr. Enter number 5836.
I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with CommentJack either, but seriously, how do people not talk about this? My god, Ben, your drawings are so shitty, it's hilarious.
Wait, you say CommentJack can't complain about Ben's avatar because he uses Applejack, but somehow you can complain about his avatar despite using mostly low-quality pictures of Old Man Frog Dude. And before you say that's all you could find, well, while my friend Scion was making the intro, he looked up pictures of your avatar and found higher quality pictures. You have no excuse. I mean, unless you're implying that specifically Applejack is just inherently a bad avatar, but in that case, you don't really explain why it's inherently a bad avatar. I mean, it's drawn decently, while Ben's avatar isn't in the slightest. Also, if we were playing the what's more visually appealing game, at least CommentJack has a background while you still have hashtag Black Borders Matter.
Hey, you wanna buy a sneaker?
While so far I've said good things about this show, there is still one teensy-weensy, itty-bitty thing they got wrong. Everything else!
Yeah, tell me all the reasons why you hate this show. Is it the gross out aspect? Is it because of them sticking to the formula? Is it because Bugs is not really that pleasant of a character in this incarnation? Each and single one of them is a very reasonable point.
Okay, you are an idiot. No, actually, you're deaf, because Ben specifically praised the show for sticking to the original formula.
You know what, YouTube dude? I'll actually admit that was a decent point.
And you know who else complains about gross out and unpleasant characters? Mr. Enter.
Oh my god, please no.
Oh, would you look at that. Maybe CommentJack isn't about much of a Mr. Enter fanboy as we thought.
He hasn't blindly defended Mr. Enter in almost half a year. Can you do me a favor and actually stay on point?
Oh wait, no, never mind. Taking the everything else line as little as he did seemed very Mr. Enter.
Oh my god, I get it! Also adding on to this point feels even less because CommentJack was pointing out flaws he clearly called valid critiques of the show.
Each and single one of them is a very reasonable point.
So your gotcha joke makes even less sense.
Tell me, is it any of those?
That's right. Everything that's wrong with this cartoon can be summed up with the title.
No, I'm sorry, but was that a cutoff?
It was intentional for the joke.
Was that a fucking cutoff?
It was intentional for the joke.
That was one of the most abysmal cutoffs I have ever seen. If you want to do cutoffs, you may not want to cut off on the last word of your sentence.
You know, unless it contributed to the joke.
And wait a minute, looking at it in retrospect, was that last part a joke? Or segue? I'm sorry, because I can't tell for your absolutely horrible acting. Was that a joke? The last part I commentated on.
Hey guys, remember when YouTube dude said that CommentJack shouldn't exaggerate for points? Yeah, that's actually pretty relevant right about now.
In all seriousness, though, Jack continues on what he meant by this literally right after your long tangent.
That's right. Everything that's wrong with this cartoon can be summed up with the title. Wabbit! A Looney Tunes production.
Go on.
The only other Looney Tunes character I see in this show is Yosemite Sam, whose new design is ugly as hell.
I find this hypocrisy!
Did that just happen? Is this a nightmare? Have I gone to hell? CommentJack, real talk here. Stop being a Bob kiss-up! You're not going to get into Bob, and you're not going to be a good commentator if you keep your shit up!
Are you 7?
And Wile E. Coyote, who's now Bugs Bunny's neighbor, even though he's a rabbit who pops up in several locations. So how the hell does that work? Not only that, but the episode I saw with Wile E. Coyote in it just had him trying to get one leaf off of his lawn, and Bugs was just there, I guess.
Oh, just dandy. We got a Looney Tunes show.
I'm sorry, but was that fast-forwarding part supposed to be skipping? Wow, CommentJack, way to accomplish one of my major pet peeves in the commentary community. Worst part is you were using a skip card before. What happened to that?
He was giving context but didn't want the drag on the video. You did the exact same thing earlier, so what are you going on about?
I'm a diehard Looney Tunes fan, and Bugs Bunny isn't even my favorite character.
So basically, this show needs to present at least 10 or 15 original Looney Tunes characters on the first season, or else it's not a good show.
Wow, that's actually a decent point. Made by literally everyone else back in 2011 to 2013. You wonder why people call Benedict
But in all seriousness, either wait until season 3 is out, learn to deal with it, or just go truck yourself with a chainsaw.
Why should he wait, huh? Season 1 is specifically the season where you gotta make a good first impression. Wow, that's actually a decent point. Made by literally everyone else back in 2011 to 2013. And the wait until season 3 is just as retarded as Brony saying that I gotta watch the finale of the 4th season in order to get into MLP.
Is this why you said him using Applejack was considered terrible? Because that makes no sense. Also, what was the point of even bringing up bronies? I mean, it had nothing to do with the point, so all I have to ask is, why?
You're going to go through the trouble making a Looney Tunes show that matches the feel of the original cartoons, and you're only going to mostly focus on Bugs? Truck that! I know Bugs Bunny is the most popular Looney Tunes character, and it's good to see him back to his screwball roots, but he's a character that you can easily make boring if you continue to constantly shove him in people's faces.
Okay, I am really sick of this. Why do these bad commentators show an entire minute of footage from the original source material, only to say nothing about it? Seriously, am I the only one that wants to stab myself every time this occurs? Quit wasting my time! Why do I keep running into the same problem?
You're really obnoxious.
Hey, this isn't some game with limited time and budget. This is a high-budget TV animated show. There's plenty of time for whatever character they want to bring up. And you just said that the show is new and there's a lot of characters for the upcoming seasons. By your logic, those characters will never, ever appear on the show since
there is absolutely no space on the cartoon.
Stop Remember this line, everyone. It's going to bite him in the ass.
Oh boy.
You can't look me in the face.
He says after he repeated the point of Comment Jack dragging out the original video 3 times. Consistency!
You are not the only person on the Looney Tunes demographic. Think of that for a second.
Hey, Comment Jack? Yeah. He's a fucking critic! He's allowed to have his own opinion and explain it so it's reasonable. No fucking shit, he's not the only person in the Looney Tunes demographic. The only person who would ever use that much of a retarded rebuttal is a die-hard fanboy.
I just want to go to bed. Can I just go to bed? I just have to happen to me. Does God hate me?
Wait a minute, what was that one video on the Amateurized channel? Of course. Of fucking course. So, not only is Comment Jack a Mr. Enter fanboy, but he's also a Wabbit fanboy. How fucking peachy.
Hey.
Dad?
Oh, is this the police?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't do anything.
You're...
Just your mind, shut up.
I'm sorry, Dad. I
My drugs.
I regret running to the circus, okay? The feminists didn't accept me. And now there's some dweeb on the internet who thinks he can take my spot as the drama queen of Idaho.
It's not your fault. Listen, I'm Rhino, Dad. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you, and we're gonna cancel G-Man Group. We're gonna cancel it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, you want me to bring back donuts later?
No, I'm just saying it.
Oh, okay. I hated you anyways, Dad. Bye.
Alright, love you too.
Okay. Mwah. Bye.
After all, the show is still new, and it's got plenty of time to allow the other Looney Tunes characters to get featured, like Elmer Fudd, who the creator said isn't going to be in this show. Oh. Well, how about Daffy, who hasn't been confirmed to appear in this show either?
Hey guys, let's go back a few.
By your logic, those characters will never, ever appear on the show since
there is absolutely no space on the cartoon.
Who else would you look at that?
Because if someone says something, it's gonna be that way forever. Plus, to make your point even more mute, only one character was officially deconfirmed, while the other was just not confirmed at all. So your point just comes off as underwhelming at best.
Well, at least they're not going to take Taz, rename him Theodore Tasmanian, and make him an accountant. Nope. At least they're not going to do that.
why is that a bad thing? I'm just asking. Why the hell is that a bad thing?
Somebody didn't watch his Looney Tunes show review.
Yeah, fun fact, if you have to watch someone's other video in order to understand their review, I think that could be considered a problem. To add on to this, do you mind filling everyone in? Because another fun fact, quite a few people watching your video probably didn't watch his Looney Tunes show review either. How can they side with you if you don't actually do your job as a commentator and explain?
Why don't you stop trying to catch lightning in a bottle twice? The original Looney Tunes are animation perfection.
No, they're flawed. Like every single cartoon in the fucking world.
Hey, there's a difference between perfection and animated perfection. You idiot!
And he goes on to not explain what he meant by his statement. Genius.
Ugh! Finally done. Thank God. This commentary, abysmal. You had shitty points, you commentated on a dead horse, your ass-kissing to Bob was incredibly annoying, your acting was shit and unclear, you kept wasting my time at certain parts of the video, your jokes suck, and you suck. Do us a big fat fucking favor, Comment Jack, and quit commentaries altogether, because all you are doing with your piss-poor videos is painting a bad light on the actual good commentators in this community.
Okay, this is something I've seen people do off and on again, and I've noticed YouTube Dude has become my new example of this, but I can't freaking stand when someone tells someone else to stop making commentaries, especially in this much of an emotionally driven manner, when the worst they do is just not make a good content. At worst, Comment Jack is just a D- tier commentator who hasn't even been around a full freaking year yet. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of Comment Jack either, but telling him to leave the community, especially in your antagonistic, immature, mean-spirited, vindictive manner, is honestly something I don't think is very warranted on your end or anybody's end.
I'm just glad it's over. If it had gone for any longer, I swear I would have completely lost style. Thank God that's never.
You still...
If you want to do cutoffs, you may not want to cut off on the last word of your sentence.
Skibbity bop bop, skibbity bop, skibbity skibbity bop bop, skibbity bop bop, bibbity boopity bop bop, oh yeah.
You still don't know how the whole "it's a persona and it's over the top" thing works. Say what you want about Mr. Enter. At least when he fails, we can see that he's trying. We can see some reason and some logic behind his arguments. And at least he has a decent avatar and a decent mic quality. In other words, you fail!
No, Comment Jack. You fail. You fucking fail! You failed commentaries, you failed to bucket Ben, and most importantly, you failed to have a purpose in this community. About 9 commentators in this community has debunked you, and yet you never, ever improved.
Of course! Him bringing up Mr. Enter just had to be the last straw, am I right? And I find it hilarious how you expect me to see you as, whoa, he's really thrown off the handle, when honestly, this is just depressing to watch. Again, seeing how often you do this in a lot of the videos you make, right now you don't really come off as some big commentator that's showing Jack what's for. Right now you look like a child. A child that's fighting another child on the playground. And for what? Defending someone you don't like? That's the step that went too far? Pfft, give me a break.
Between showing a dick in your 10th commentary, failing to commentate on such easy targets, being a Mr. Enter fanboy and just quote whatever he says and pretend you have a point, thinking that you can arrest us for insulting you on the internet, remember that, everybody?
4 months ago.
You have no purpose here. And you know what? Comment Jack will probably do a commentary on this video too. And you know what? I won't reply back because I don't want to see another second of this guy's videos. I don't want Comment Jack to improve. No. I want him gone. I want him to quit commentaries and never come back.
So basically, once again, like a lot of your other commentaries, you want to do the exact opposite of what commentators are meant to do and follow the commentator stereotype as an obnoxious, destructive tool with no real intent to help others but with the intent to tear others down. Listen, I just want to get real with you guys for a second. I know I come off as pretty sarcastic and occasionally douchey in some of my videos, but I make these videos to help, not drive away. If anyone I commentated on now came back and improved, I embrace them with open arms. Heck, that's what I did with Doodle Tones, Gale Force, and Star Maker. Now, I'm not saying you can't just make videos to debate, but when destroying someone's image or tearing another person down like you did here is your main priority, which you pretty much flat out said was the case, then sorry, sir, you get no respect from me. Try again. Now, on a lighter note, I just have to ask, how did this video have over 40 likes?